What was your occupation?
I'm a lawyer.
Was this occupation decided for you, or did you make the decision yourself?
I made the decision.
When you grew up, did most women work or stay home?
Stay home.
What were the most common jobs for women of your time?
Teachers, nurses, stenographers.
Did you feel as a woman that you could become anything you wanted?
To tell you the truth, I never thought about it. I just decided what I was going to be when I was 6 years old, and I stuck with it.
Who was your role model growing up?
I didn't have one.
Were you expected to work outside the home?
Was I expected to work outside the home? No.
When you were growing up, did you feel you had the same rights as your male counterpart?
Oh, yes.
Really? You had the same rights as your male counterparts? Didn't you think it was harder for you?
Well, when I was growing up, it was hard for everybody.
Okay, all right.
Growing up, did you try to discourage you from taking a job that most men have?
Yes.
How do you think the role of women in your society in changing or will change in the new millennium?
The role of women?
Yeah.
Well, I think that women will become more involved on an equal basis with men, because that's what they want to do now.
Where did you go to college?
I went to, I had 2 years of pre-law. That was the requirement in those days. I went 1 year to Cornell and 1 year to the University of South Carolina, because they didn't have enough money to send me back to Cornell.
Then where? Where did you go after that?
Then I went to law school.
Where?
Rutgers, well, it's now Rutgers. It was then New Jersey Law School.
What was your first job?
I got a job as a law clerk. I had to clerk. The requirement was in those days that when you graduated from a law school, anyway, a woman or a man, you had to clerk with a counselor for 1 year to learn where the courthouse was and the kind of how an office is run and how to look up law, things like that. And my first job was as a law clerk with George, and I got $5 a week. In my law class, we had 17 women, which was a lot of women, but we had 17 women.
What did you do after you were a law clerk?
I stayed with George and worked for him as a lawyer.
How old are you?
How old am I now?
Yeah.
I am 87 years old.
What were some highlights of your career?
Passing the bar was the first one. And even having a job at $5 a week was a big accomplishment in those days when everybody was out of work. And in summer and holidays, I worked in my father's business and I sold soda water. I used to go around with a bucket of soda water with ice, and bottles of soda water with ice in it. And I had somebody drive me because I wasn't old enough to drive yet. And we went to, we'd stop at grocery stores. So, ginger beer we were selling.
What were some of your highlights later in your law career?
Of course, the biggest one was the Trenton Six case. It was a case in which it was during a period of discrimination against black people. And a white man was killed. His wife was injured. And there were 2 eyewitnesses that saw them come out of a shop. And they described the black people as being light-skinned and coming slowly out of the shop, and then getting in a car and driving away. There were at most identified 3 people as participating in the crime. Well, the police started in a very discriminatory manner. For a while they sent a notification to every black driver, license holder, to come to the prosecutor's office. And they questioned them and tried to get them to admit the crime. Well, they finally picked up a kid who had gone to the police station to bring the car keys to a cousin of his who had been arrested involving a car. So they picked this guy up, and he had a bad heart. He was a very sick kid. And so after he was gone for a day, his mother sent another cousin down to the police station to see what happened to him. So they arrested the cousin too. They wound up with 6 people, although the identification at the scene of the crime was 3, and the identification was all light-skinned, and these were 6 people, black, really black. They charged all 6 of them with murder, and they convicted them, and they sat in the death house. You know what a death house is? Where they keep people that are going to be executed. Mm-hmm. They sat in the death house for 2 years until the sentence was reversed.
And what did you do? You were there. How did you become their lawyer?
Oh, we got in after the first case was reversed, because by that time there was a lot of public attention involved, and so they reversed it, and we represented the American Civil Liberties Union. We represented 2 of the guys for the American Civil Liberties Union, and an AACP had an attorney, and it was a mess.
Was it in the 50s or the 60s?
It was in the 40s.
In the 40s. Oh.
It was a hard. You've heard about the Scottsboro case. They say this is the Scottsboro case of the North.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. I hope you go ahead and be what you want to be.
I want to be an athlete.
An actress?
Athlete.
Athlete. Oh. Well, that's hard too.
Yeah.